Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I want to welcome everybody to the first of our 2026 town halls. I want to thank everybody for being here. Today, we're going to begin. We'll call the meeting to order, and we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. We'll have, actually, if we have Councilmember Tao, this is your first town hall, sir, and your district. So if you would be so kind to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Everybody could please stand. Flag's right there.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. Roll call.
Okay, agenda item C, roll call. Councilmember DuPont.
Present.
Tao.
Present.
Harris.
Present.
Smith.
Present.
Zhang.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Boyle. Here. And Mayor Serrato.
Present.
Okay, agenda item D, opening comments. Mayor Serrato.
Thank you, Jennifer. As we said, this is the first of our 3 town hall series. Traditionally, we do a town hall in South Merced, North Merced, and Central Merced each year. This is a very important part of our process, so we want to thank you all for being here, being a part of it. We use this, along with a number of other things, to engage and do outreach to the community, and also as part of our budget process as well. One of the many factors we look at to engage and get out and do outreach, and to see what's important to you, the people we represent, when it comes into formulating our budget for the upcoming year, which we finalized in June. So we'll begin. We'll have opening comments from each of our council members, and then we'll take your comments after that. So we'll start. Mayor Pro Tem Boyle represents District 5.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everyone, for showing up tonight, and I look forward to the issues that you have for us, and hopefully we can find some solutions. And like Mayor said, this is the first of 3, so I just want to thank you all for being out here tonight.
Councilor DuPont.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you, everyone, for attending tonight. I look forward to good discussion on the path forward for Merced. There's a lot that we were able to accomplish last year. Look forward to hopefully accomplishing more this year and what that looks like. So I look forward to each and everyone's comments.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Councilmember Fujian, representing District 6. As always, just excited to hear from community members.
Thank you, Mayor. Welcome. It's good to have you all here tonight. I'm happy to be here tonight, and I look forward to listening to what you have to say. Remind you that this isn't your only opportunity. You can contact any of us, and we're always open to listening to what you have to say. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Shane Smith on behalf of District 4. I look forward to your feedback tonight.
Good evening. Good evening again, Yang Pao Tao, District 2. I look forward to hearing you guys, your concerns and issues and ideas you're going to bring up tonight. So thank you for showing up tonight.
Introduce some of our city team as well. City Manager McBride.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. First of all, I want to check and see, is audio working for everyone tonight? Yeah, you can hear us okay? Juan, can you hear us back in the second room back there? All right, fantastic. First of all, I want to say thank you for the community coming out to this beautiful facility. I think many of you know this facility was out of action for, unfortunately, many years. And so we were very proud to be able to be here tonight to kind of welcome you here. I can't say enough for everyone that participated to get this building open for us. Thank you to the council. Thank you to the community. And so we have a lot of good people here tonight from the city to represent different departments. First of all, I want to recognize my 2 charter officers here for the city. We have City Attorney Cornwell, Finance Officer Rodriguez here tonight. We have various people here with me who have mics, so I'll let them introduce themselves. But throughout the audience, we'll do a show of hands. I see Chief Stanfield, Chief Wilson, Jennifer Flackman. I see Ken Elwin over here with Public Works. I see Juan Olmos with Public Works back over there. I know Chris Jensen is here in the other room. I know Jeff Binninghoff is here with IT. And we've got planning represented, we've got housing represented, we've got every department that you could think of from the city, but a couple people here next to me introduce themselves tonight as well.
Good evening, and thank you for participating in our first town hall. Your comments are important to us, and we do take them seriously. Council listens, they evaluate, and then they share their direction with staff. And we're just grateful you're here. It's a bit chilly, so thank you for joining us. And I'm Frank Quintero, I'm the Deputy City Manager.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Jennifer Parsley, the Assistant City Clerk.
Thank you all. So you have your council here. You also have a number of department heads and our charter officers. In addition to that, again, want to welcome everybody to the recently renovated and restored Stephen Leonard Youth Center here. So this is really a great thing. We've been able to get this thing redone after years of being offline. So big investment, and we're excited to have this facility online. See many familiar faces here, so I think a lot of you know how this works. We'll have our line right there. We have 2 hours, so we have the building until 8 o'clock. We've had an opportunity to begin with an informal session back, so more informal interaction with some of our departments and our department heads. Now's your opportunity to talk to us. We'll do our best to answer the questions. We also, if the questions require subject matter expertise from some of our department heads as well, you're able to get answers from them. Two big things tonight. One is you telling us what is important, telling us what your priorities are. Second is getting information too. If you have questions, either we can answer it directly now, or if it takes more time, we can follow up afterwards as well. So we'll do our best to make use of the time. I guess we'll get started. So feel free to line up and start asking questions. So we'll do our best. It's early right now. It's only 6:09. But as we get towards the end, just want to make sure that everybody's going to ask a question is lined up, so we have the opportunity for everybody to participate, and we're able to get to everybody's answers. All right.
You ready?
Ready.
Okay, good evening, Council. My name is Latanya Richard. Our budget is a roadmap of our values. Right now, that roadmap shows that we value policing over people. Merced invests over $50 million in police and $30 million in fire, while housing barely gets a blip on the chart. I am here to tell you that housing is public safety. Stability in the home cuts down on crime in the streets. You cannot police your way out of the instability of housing neglect. I know the cost of this neglect. I was approved for a safe house last year for $1,900, but when I showed up in my wheelchair, I was gaslit and forced into a unit that was filled with rodent droppings, mold, and cat urine. As an immunocompromised person, that wasn't just filthy, it was a physical assault on my health. We moved within 2 months, and now we pay more than $500 just to live in a safe house. When I called code enforcement, they did not protect me. Instead, they tipped off the landlord and we got a 30-day notice. That isn't right. The system currently protects the predator. We need an anti-slumlord ordinance now. We need a housing quality database that has a listing of all rental units, including the top 20 bad actors, with a one-stop shop that people can apply for housing, filtered by price and subsidies, and mandatory fees for bad actors as suggested by Councilmember Smith on November 24th. At a time when America's police force is being militarized against its own citizens, more policing is not what we need. You are not promoting safety, you are instilling fear. These fees can fund non-police code enforcement because some people have papers that are not quite legal and they don't want to call code enforcement because it is unsafe. You will ensure that these houses are habitable. If you want a safer Merced, you must stop treating housing as an afterthought. Housing is public safety and a human right. Use the budget as a roadmap to invest in the stability of our citizens, get compliant with the housing element, and hold the slumlords accountable. Thank you.
Next speaker.
Hi, my name's Robin Panasevich. I've lived here for 41 years, seen a lot. I am legally blind now, but I haven't been. I've only been legally blind for the last 4 years. So I've seen a lot happen in Merced. I was a civil servant myself. I've worked a number of years in the county in different offices, and I'm pretty much appalled at what I see now. I've been forced into a position where I need to have subsidy myself, even though I am a working individual, was a working individual. Circumstances put me in that position to have to use the subsidies that I used to have, that I used to help other people get. And I'm appalled at what's happening here in Merced, really, after 41 years. And I've written something up to help me describe this. Where am I, Ash? Right here. Okay. Welcome and thank you for your attention. As elected city officials, I know that you have many heavy budget issues that you're facing at this time. As resident voters, we would ask that our suggestions be seriously, and solutions be seriously considered. Budget concerns affect us all. And implementing the suggestions of the housing element proposal can alleviate the fluff. Creating safe, affordable housing for all income levels with strict guidelines for owners, property managers, and housing assistance agencies and programs are a must. A no-fear eviction reporting database for residents to safely report abuse and neglect by owners in housing situations, with heavy fines with teeth if these issues are not addressed in a timely manner and effectively. And also needed is a department such as the Code Department with staff that are hired to specifically address the violations. The Code Department that is in place right now is not effective. It's inadequate, and the staff hired have other more pressing responsibilities.
Hey, I apologize, there's a 3-minute limit. I forgot to mention it earlier, but we'll hear from other folks, and if there's more time at the end, maybe there'll be another opportunity. But thank you for your comments.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Andrea Uribe, and I'm a land use and transportation policy advocate for Leadership Council. As an organization, we have monthly community meetings with the residents of Merced, and many of them residing here within South Merced. And we hope these comments during this town hall serve to inform the upcoming budget and many of the other plans that are in the works right now, such as the general plan update. The need for complete streets that promote active transportation and prioritize safety for residents is evident by the lack of physical infrastructure such as sidewalks, and it's reinstated by resident testimonies. There's a need for road repairs and both the retrofitting and the installation of sidewalks and street lighting. This is further reflected in the sidewalk infill maps showing sidewalk gaps within the city of Merced. The city provides 2 maps to track missing sidewalks, one for North Merced and another for South Merced. A quick glance of the maps demonstrates large discrepancies and inequities present within South Merced. Much of South Merced is without vital infrastructure and street safety. These are serious safety concerns. The current condition workbook states the vast majority of collisions in Merced occur within these disadvantaged areas, including 93% of all injury collisions and 90% of all KSIs. There are huge overlap areas between the disadvantaged areas highlighted by maps in the workbook and the areas marked as missing sidewalks in the infill maps. While the need for safer streets is evident, there's still a lack of additional critical data, such as an info map for street lighting, similar to the sidewalks ones. And while the city services on the website and previous budget commitments have demonstrated efforts to retrofitting or fixing broken streetlights, there seems to be nothing to extend street lighting and put in place new light posts. Furthermore, there are no public records of additional street lighting plans or of the work that has been done or planned under the Light Up Merced. We've been reaching out to some staff members, and I know I'm hoping to get some additional information, but that's currently available within the website. I haven't been able to find it. And while addressing this to its entirety will require time and funds, residents would like to see strides for addressing their safety concerns as soon as possible. Residents expect the following: a streetlight capital improvement project agendized for City Council within this quarter that highlights where street lighting is missing, public records for expenditures in street lighting with expected upcoming projects, a list of priority streets, a heat map for street accidents and missing lights. And 2, a commitment to prioritize sidewalk rehabilitation and light installation within Canal, Childs, and South M Street within this upcoming budget cycle. These infrastructure improvements are also crucial to obtaining additional missing infrastructure, such as extending water and sewer services, and in order to be able to bring things like grocery stores, because South Merced is currently within a food desert and obtaining groceries is very difficult for residents. So thank you for your time. We hope to continue working together.
Thank you. Speak.
Good evening. My name is Ashley Marie. I'm a policy advocate with Leadership Council, just like Andrea, and we both work with residents in South Merced as well as also residents that live in North Merced. And so we know that you're working with a very limited and small budget for this upcoming fiscal year, but it's still imperative that the city consider setting aside funding for a lot of the things that I'm going to mention. We're first going to begin with a housing equality database. Most of the council members have heard of the rental registry, and so we kind of want to tie some elements of that with something that y'all have already proposed, the anti-slumlord ordinance, to ensure that negligent landlords that want to take advantage of tenants or are taking advantage of tenants are held accountable and are able to be contacted by licensed code enforcement to correct any housing code violations. And so just to remind you, many residents that we work with, they have experienced things like mold, leaks, broken AC, broken windows, broken locks, and unmaintained communal dumpsters, all things that need to be fixed in order to be considered habitable. And so tying a fee structure to this program would be extremely helpful to incentivize landlords to correct violations as well as to sustain the program financially beyond the first year. And so this would prevent the program from tapping into the city's limited general fund in the future. And establishing a second program, establishing an eviction protection program for residents to also receive free legal assistance to prevent their displacement. According to the Judicial Council of California, over 800 filings for unlawful detainers were filed in Merced County in 2025 with over 600 dispositions. So as you can tell, that's a very clear need in the community for access to free legal resources. And although the city has partnered with Project Sentinel to provide legal assistance, it's only in the cases of discrimination. And we're not quite sure if everybody that is trying to get assistance through Project Sentinel has received their assistance or if some have been turned away to organizations like CRLA or CCLS, which are often at capacity. We try to connect them by email multiple times a month, and sometimes we don't even get to hear back from them. And so this is just some information that we'd like to convey to you to ensure that you all are very aware this is a very big need in the community. And infrastructure as well, tying back into the needs for the community. There are a lot of infrastructure needs, as Andrea had mentioned, including lighting, public lighting, sidewalks, as well as water and sewer infrastructure. And we want to raise these again and to spark the conversation of attracting developers to the area and bringing in economic development to South Merced. Although you have heard before, time and time again, that we want to put affordable housing in high resource areas, that doesn't mean that we're not going to put affordable housing in South Merced as well. I think one good way to tackle that problem is making sure that we're bringing the resources to the areas that already have affordable housing. And so what that looks like is making sure that we're attracting developers such as grocery stores, retail, library, making sure that there's access to fresh food and things of that nature. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ashley. Next speaker, good evening.
Good evening. My name is Crystal Ramos, and I'm a program manager of Youth United at Youth Leadership Institute. I'm here today because some of our youth have gathered information about the local parks and the parks maintenance system, and I want to share what they have found. I've also brought presentations printed out, so I'm going to head on up and give you each one.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead whenever you're ready.
Hello, my name is Agent Shaheda, and I'm a part of Youth United. I'm here today to bring to your attention the Merced Connect app and the city's current park maintenance process within the app. Each city council member have received a copy of the presentation that we have put together. Let us begin with the fact that the city of Merced has approximately 100,000 residents, yet this app shows only approximately 100 downloads on Google Play. How much of the city's budget went into the marketing of the app? Because less than 1% of the city's population using the app is crazy work. The app itself was promoted as easy to use, but it has been challenging to work with. It deletes report notes, glitches as you're navigating through it, and constantly logs you off. In this packet, you will see that 6 reports over the past few months were submitted, and for the sake of time, I will only review a few of the reports and responses that we have received. On November 4th, one of our members submitted a report number 910 about the rusted playground structure at the Joe Herr Park. Our member received an email on November 20th letting them know that the request was completed and closed, and when we went back to go check the park, we noticed that no changes were made. On November 18th, another of our members submitted a report number 973 about the condition of the basketball court at Gilbert Macias' park. The basketball court nets are missing, and there are a lot of graffiti on the floor. On December 10th, our youth received an email stating that her request was closed after going back to the park. Nothing was changed. There are just a few examples of the reports sent to Public Works through their new and improved app that result in nothing. If your Public Works department is not actually resolving the issues reported, why are the residents of Merced being told that they have been resolved when they actually haven't? And if they're actually doing the work of maintaining the park, could you please share some recent reports that were successfully completed aside from the ones we've shared? If there are no questions, I will now pass it to my YU partner, Quentin.
Hi, my name is Quinton and I am a youth participant in Youth United. The number of glitches and technical problems is the least of the app's issues. As you can see, the requests we submitted on the Merced Connect app are getting closed without any work being done. How will the people know that the request was actually worked on? The city should include pictures of updated work requests in its notifications. We are asking for a change in the overall park maintenance process here in Merced. Right now, it is based on work orders that often get ignored. Instead, the city should assign people to check and maintain our local parks routinely. What is the point of all the investment in parks like CP 42 and General Vang Pao Park if you are not going to update the way these parks the way they're supposed to be maintained? It's time to move past the way we've been doing things because it's clearly not working. So I want to ask you all here, what will you do to improve our current park maintenance system? If anyone else would like to read more about the reports why you submitted, you can find copies of our presentation over here with us.
All right, thank you. We'll let Ms. Phillips go, and then we'll get into parks maintenance after that. Ms. Phillips.
Yes, hi. My name is LaVon Phillips, and I have a couple concerns. The police showed up at my house at 4 o'clock in the morning. We saw it on the ring cameras. We went to the door, and no one was there. And then we went to the police station, and they said, something pinged at 962 Northwood Drive. But if the police gonna ring my doorbell, at least he should have the courtesy to stay there until I get to the door. And what they told me didn't make sense. Well, it said somebody was having a disturbance. My husband, at 4 o'clock in the morning, I was asleep. And When I went down to the police station, they acted indifferent, and I didn't appreciate. I'm a taxpayer, I'm a registered voter, and I'm gonna remember all of that when it's time to vote. Plus, I'm a homeowner. So I don't understand why the police would ring my doorbell at 4 o'clock in the morning. My husband and I wake up my husband and somebody ring the doorbell. And then we see the police going around my truck, and then he goes to a house next door. And I went to the city, they was indifferent as to why was the police at my house at 4. He said, well, we heard of something about a disturbance. That's what the sergeant, somebody, I don't remember his name, said that he heard they had a disturbance. Well, if this is a disturbance at my house, I need to know about it. And you shouldn't run away after you ring my doorbell. Chief, you need to find out who that officer was and why. And also my second concern, I'm a member of Greater New Hope Church. It's in your district, Councilman DuPont, and we need sidewalks. And it's so dark out there that we can't attend church at night. Most of our members are elderly. I'm 76, and most of them are older than me. So they won't come out at night. The sidewalk, we need sidewalks, we need lighting out there. And then when you come off of, before you turn on Mather Road, that's the city's property. It's trees torn down or junk, always junk there. And somebody needs to see who's dumping stuff. When you can go out on Yosemite, it's free if you're a resident of Merced. But I really, and the last point I have to make is the parks. Why don't they have garbage cans? I walk every day, and I walk through Farrams Park, and I go through Rascal Creek. It's no trash cans. That's why you see so much junk. It's 2 trash cans. So I think they need to put some extra trash cans so that hopefully the people will put the trash in the trash cans. And I don't think, I think it's not, who's doing the parks now? Because I see them, they be sitting down in the car, don't do nothing. Who supervises those people? If you're supposed to be working, you need to be working. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Phillips. Grant.
Mr. Mayor, Council, City Manager McBride, City Attorney Mr. Cornwell, and city staff. I appreciate, as always, you guys having these town hall meetings and letting us come here and yell at you for a while. I'm just going to yell for a little bit. I'll try to not raise my voice too much, but
3 minutes to yell.
No, I don't want to yell. But I do want to say, I think 2 years ago, but I could be wrong, I came and spoke at one of these town halls to talk about the proposed roundabout on the 59 at Girard. It was supposed to be completed in 2025. Clearly, that has not been done. So I had a chance to follow up with Caltrans in about October, and they said that that proposed roundabout is still on schedule for roughly June of this year. That's what they told us. So I again want to put that on your radar and say the citizens of Mission Ranch, where I live, are concerned because their proposal is to redirect traffic off the 59 down Mission and then onto G to the back end of Farmdale Elementary. And during June, obviously, school's not in session, but there are still things going on at the school there. There are often food giveaways and other programs. So there are some safety issues for the residents there if they're going to redirect traffic down that way. Additionally, if we're going to see a high influx of traffic, even for a short amount of time, there's some concerns about, and I appreciate Councilman DuPont's comments on Monday's meeting about Mission being one of the worst roads in Merced. If we could work with the county or even the state to get some dollars to make some repairs to the section of 59 to G Street on Mission, the residents would be much appreciative of that, because if we're going to have increased traffic, we at least need to have some more striping and some lighting so people can see out there. As I said, one of the big concerns is safety. There are people who walk out there. There are no sidewalks. And so I just wanted to put that back on your radar, since my understanding is that it is going to happen this year. And hopefully you all can find a little bit of money in your budget to at least restripe or get some lighting or something out there to help the residents with that safety issue. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Mr. Grant. All right, anyone else right now? We'll address some of the concerns, the Merced Connect app, general topics, park maintenance, infrastructure, roads, housing, kind of the big ones I heard right there. Starting with the app, I guess, Mr. Benioff, you want to address some of the concerns that were raised with the Merced Connect app, sir?
So I think I'd like to talk to you and find out about a little more information upon those particular work order cases so I could find out some more information. We did get a new app in March of last year, so there was some hiccups when we went live with that application between March and approximately April as we're working through it. So I'd like to find out a little bit more information so we could work with you to find out what's going on there. We could work with Ken Alwyn's group to find out kind of what happened through those work orders. Was there miscommunication or what happened there?
Sounds good. Yeah, Jeff's our resident expert on all things tech. Yes. So, great way to follow up with him. Good.
I think it's a great point that you brought up with the Connect app. I've used it myself, and not being able to see the follow-up work and then having to go yourself to see the follow-up work makes it time-consuming, one, and two, not efficient in what we're trying to do. So definitely been a conversation that I've had with staff as well, and seeing if we cannot get a picture of the work that we've done so it's more efficient in using the Connect app.
Is there anybody else on the app want to address that? You guys are good following up with Jeff? Ms. Phillips, I think there's specific concern about the incident at your house. I had heard that you're having a big loud party there, and there are people there partying until late, but I could be wrong.
I don't know who told that lie, because we were
I heard you had a big party. But we'll hear from you again later. But a specific case, you got Chief Stanfield's here, Sergeant Renders in the back too. Raise your hand, Brian. So if you give them some specific information, they could look it up for you and hopefully see what's going on. All right. Another big concern that was brought up was parks. Our Parks and Rec director is Mr. Jensen's in the back. Mr. Elwin, too, with Public Works, too. They do our park maintenance. So first I'll turn to council. Anything anybody wants to answer, any information they want to provide with regards to any of the concerns that were raised regarding the condition of our parks and park maintenance? Free to jump in if anybody wants to do that.
I'll go, Mayor.
Go.
Yeah, it's kind of been on the topic and the radar of this council over the past year. I mean, we've discussed park maintenance, and we've also discussed park safety throughout the year. We've put in a lot of cameras throughout the parks to ensure safety for our residents that have been using the parks. It was a large concern that I heard over the year from residents. CP 42 is important to me, and I've said from the dais, if we're investing in these type of parks, we need to make sure that we're not only protecting that investment, but also investing in that investment and maintenance as well. It's never going to be perfect, but we in the past year have made steps to invest in the maintenance of our parks and really the growth of our parks. Just last year we discussed budgeting money and the ability to redo Joe Hart Park. I mean, that's one of the big things that I wanted to do when I first got on council, was to improve that park. So park maintenance will, in my opinion, continue to be an important part of this council.
Councilor Harris.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I want to thank Youth United. Going out, getting all this information, bringing it to us, using the Merced Connect app to report it. What you're doing is, it's not vague, it's specific, and that's what we need. And it deserves our attention, our remediation, and follow-up. And that follow-up needs to be prompt, and it needs to be accurate. I don't personally care if it comes through the app or through email, but you should know when your report's received, what's being done to work on it, when it's complete. So we will take that back with us for sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Councilor Jean.
So I agree with the first speaker, right? I think oftentimes when we think about parks and maintenance, we don't think about the money behind it, right? And year after year, we tend to cut parks budget, right? We've asked parks to, hey, reduce the number of employees you have, reduce X, Y, and Z, cut funding for youth programs. And so I think that's something that we need to figure out going forward. We need to actually invest money into parks, right? We need to invest into the department. It's ridiculous that we tend to do the same thing over and over. We always ask parks to cut themselves, right? And yet at the same time, they're one of the most beautiful things in the city, and people see them, right? They know what's going on. And so I think it's important that we start investing real dollars into our parks department, ensuring maintenance happen, and yeah, we got to figure out where else to cut.
Yeah, just a couple comments as well. There's certain core things that a city does, right? Police, fire, water, sewer, garbage, parks. Parks are a big, big, important thing that we do. Parks have been a major source, I think, of investment over the past few years, at least as long as I've been on the council, and thinking of, and before that too, I've been thinking of a lot of the things we've done, a lot of things that are currently being invested in. Big Joe Herb Park renovation that Councilmember DuPont mentioned, roughly, I believe, $700,000, if I'm not mistaken. Altogether, going into Joe Herb Park. This building we're in right now, being restored, there's a lot of difficulty just with general, one, you got general upkeep, two, you have general decay, right? You build things and things gradually start to depreciate and fall apart, so you have to maintain them to combat depreciation. And two, you also have a big problem too with things being damaged and destroyed, either whether it's intentional vandalism or whether it's people accidentally causing damage to parks. That's a big concern as well. And if you talk to, to Ken or Chris Jensen, they can tell you on and on. Like every day, there's something that's, something that's broken or something that's damaged. So we have a lot just to keep up with that. And then just again, listing, I think everybody who mentioned parks is a big priority and a big topic of concern. I think all of us up here agree with you. And look at everything we've funded and everything we've built in the last few years. Again, the Joe Herb project that's coming. We have an Applegate Park basketball court. One of those is supposed to be renovated relatively soon too. The other one was renovated a few years ago. This building, CP42 down at Mission and Tyler, over a $10 million investment, building 6 big lighted soccer fields in the first 2 phases. And then also too, that being a way to spur more development in the area. Probably of the 36 parks in Merced, the majority are actually in South Merced. A lot of them are the mini parks. We've upgraded over 10, I believe 12 or so of the playground structures in the mini parks. The playground structure at Barron's Park was a big upgrade. Playground structure at Applegate a few years ago. Seeing the new playground structure at Farron's has been a big plus out there. A lot more people come out there as well. You've had new park bathrooms at McNamara, new park bathrooms at Applegate. The park bathroom investment has been over $1 million just in that. You have the zoo and Kittyland upgrades coming relatively soon as well. The zoo is under construction now. You have a lot of investment over the past few years into McNamara Park. Well, McNamara Park being, in a lot of ways, the heart of South Merced and a really important place, both in the history and culture of South Merced. Flanagan Park, I know, Jesse, your team had mentioned some problems with Flanagan Park. So Flanagan Park's a big, there's been, a lot of that's been fixed. The basketball courts there, some of the things. So we need to continue to invest over there as well, too. So just some of the examples. And I think, park maintenance, again, it's a constant concern, and upgrading our parks, too, with the 36 we have, plus CP42 coming online probably in the middle of the year, and us breaking ground on General Vang Pao Park in North Merced as well. There's 3 vacant park sites in Bellevue Ranch that have been vacant for a long time, too. So that's also a big priority up there. So Vang Pao is one of those. That's going to be a great thing. And Jay and your team, great for the Hmong community as well, to really kind of center them and put them up front. So a couple thoughts, too, there. And I think Chris or Ken, if you guys want to jump in or say anything, and Ken's always ready to jump up and give a speech. But Chris, if there's anything you want to add as well on parks. Ken, if you don't mind, Chris seems willing to jump in there and talk. So.
After you.
Got 2 really smart, hardworking guys here, too, who are in charge of both the Parks and Public Works departments.
Good evening, community, mayor, city council. I definitely appreciate the comments. I think the mayor gave a significant reflection of the investment that's been made over the past several years. With COVID-19, one of the things that we heard a lot is that parks are important to the health of community and residents. I think this council and the prior councils made investments that reflect that reality for our community. With that being said, I do appreciate the reality of the young people that they're sharing as well, that it is an ongoing battle to keep up with the maintenance that's required, both routine maintenance, deferred maintenance, and then vandalism-induced maintenance. So we try our best to be progressive with our police department to implement public safety techniques, strategies, and tools. Councilman DuPont shared about the camera installations, been a significant effort. Our Arts Commission over the past few years, working with your investment in that realm of our community to wrap restrooms to decrease vandalism, which tends to induce ongoing vandalism as well. And then our public works partners to upkeep the maintenance of our restrooms and our playgrounds and our open spaces. It's an ongoing battle. I can share that those partners that have been involved in that routine investment are invested in continuing that fight, and appreciate all the support that this council and community gives in that regard.
Thank you. Just highlight one more big investment too over the past few years was the restoration of the Ada Givens Pool. That was done in the last few years as well too, so that was a really nice upgrade as well. And the murals as well that Chris mentioned. Anybody else on parks? Anybody from the council or anybody else? Okay. We'll move on. We have so streets and infrastructure and then housing. I think the other two big general topics that were raised, we can address those, or else if there's anybody else right now who wants to jump in and let us know what you think either on those topics, or we can get through them probably in a few minutes, so we'll still have plenty of time.
Gloria can talk. I can talk about housing and some of the other issues that were brought up.
Yeah. Ms. Sandoval.
Good evening. Gloria Sandoval, District 3. I'd like to speak about a couple of things. One thing that has been very traumatizing, as we know what's going on across the country with people being disappeared, masked people, and one of the terrifying things is to have tinted windows that you can't even see. And I was wondering that we had some kind of a ordinance against that, because it's really scary right now, and I don't know what the law is. I'd like to request that. The other is the loudness of people's, mufflers. I mean, we need a little bit of peace. I mean, everybody's at edge, and we really need to do something about that. The other thing I'd like to share, and I am a participant of the Continuum of Care that is taking care to deal with homelessness, and we just celebrated our winter solstice. We missed you. There were 51 names, and we were hoping that there wouldn't be that many. But I think a part of it is we see the whole thing about people living. I've been a homeowner for a long time, and I love it. But when I don't love it so much when I have to replace a part, right, like the roof or whatever. But tenants, I think sometimes they're just starting out. Right now, the suggestion of a 50-year mortgage is really ridiculous. And I think our city needs to be more respectful to our tenants and give young people a chance. And I venture to say probably most of you up there are homeowners. Because, and then maybe you've been kind of a little removed from what a tenant has to go through. I would invite you, some of you already go to court, but look at, have a chance to observe at eviction court, and you could see how unfair that is. Take a chance, for people in the public, please take some time to go and just observe and see the odds of a tenant actually winning. Please consider that suggestion of helping people, to know what their rights are. Yeah, you could find it on the web, but that's different than you can't, really interact with a website, right? I mean, and that takes so much time. The other thing is, I think that we've had too much fear of people being retaliated against for saying that they need their heater fixed. I know that we have a new law now that there has to be refrigerators, right, and stoves for rentals. I mean, that's going to be another thing, that people need to know about. I know a lady whose burners were out. She's afraid to say anything about that. How many people are living like that? We really need help for people that need that kind of help. Thank you.
Thank you, Gloria. All right, let's talk about housing. Housing issues that were brought up were, one, city investment in affordable housing, and then landlord-tenant issues, dealing with landlord-tenant relationship, dealing with evictions, also dealing with substandard properties. Councilmember Smith, you mentioned you're ready to go.
Thank you. So, Mr. Mayor, I'll let you go through the list of housing projects that we've got going and recently completed in a second. So I'm going to try to respond to a couple points that I've heard. It's been 15 minutes ago, and as people heard, I'm getting older today. First, so tenant rights, tenant support, and anti-slumlord. So we had a discussion a couple weeks ago, I think it was over Thanksgiving, about what the city can do sort of within its scope of powers and with our means. We talked about an anti-slumlord ordinance that I would envision having a top 10 list of our most wanted properties that need to be abated, to focus code enforcement and other resources on that. We talked about where that ordinance is in the queue. And we could talk about the pace of things and a lot of different issues, but I'll just represent to you that the city attorney sent me a draft to get my feedback during the holidays, and I'll commit to getting that back to him by Monday. We can move that forward. Also, the vacant building ordinance that has been discussed at council in the past is getting close to some further discussion. My hope is still that we can have a focus group of people on the tenant rights and also the landlord side to sit down and talk about that, maybe workshop it before it gets to council, so we can build in feedback from everybody who has to make this thing work, and maybe build some support for it among the community members before it comes to council. So I want to commit to doing what I can from my position, moving that forward here relatively quickly. I think that's the best first step in terms of getting city code enforcement resources aligned where they need to be. You know, they are limited, but let's start solving some problems and taking some things off the board so we can deal with some other issues. Also had a conversation with Ashley and Tanya and others about tenant rights and tenant support. So as an attorney, yeah, it's daunting for me sometimes in court, so I can only imagine, right, for regular folks to be in unlawful detainer or any other kind of proceeding. I completely agree that there's a real gap in representation for tenants in Merced and probably across California. The question is what to do about it. We probably disagree that this is something the city should take on in providing a right to counsel. I mean, that's a 7-figure solution that we can't afford. And really, do you want the city to take this on? I do think that we need to work together as a community with attorneys and start incentivizing some people and giving them structure to use pro bono hours or low bono hours to help tenants. That's really who we need to activate. I've been a part in my career of some habitability projects in the Bay Area where attorneys would donate their time, and on a weekend or so, they would sit down with people and kind of triage a problem, right? Sometimes the answer was, sir or ma'am, I can't help you, you don't really have a claim. Sometimes it is, your best bet is to go to the court's self-help resources, and this is what I would do. Sometimes it's, well, you know what? You got a real claim, and we need to take advantage of that attorney fee shifting part of California habitability law and find you an attorney. And this doesn't always create an attorney-client relationship at that meeting, but it gets people moving in the right direction. You shouldn't have to know somebody who knows an attorney who's willing to give you a favor. There should be a structure for that. So I don't know if it was Tanya or maybe it was the transportation director from Leadership Council, but legal aid services in Merced have really retrenched in the last decade. So that's something that I'm committing to doing my best to at least see if we can do something about that. I'm a pretty busy guy right now. I got 3 trials coming up in the next 70 days. But I've had a conversation with some local lawyers. I'd like to involve Ashley in some follow-ups now the holidays are over and report back and see what we can do. I don't know that that's something I'm doing as a council member, but I can use my title, my quote-unquote prestige to see if I can bring some people together. So there's an update on that. Streetlights and sidewalks, I completely agree. I've been talking for the 3-ish years I've been on the council about neighborhoods in District 4 that don't have sidewalks or streetlights. I know the city embarked on an ambitious project that's been completed to replace existing street lamps with LED lights that project a wider swath of light. It's safer, but we didn't install a single light pole as far as I know. And so the question is how to do that, right? That's a lot more expensive. There's a lot more moving parts, maybe eminent domain, right? I had proposed 2.5, 3 years ago that the city investigate a citywide community resource district to do a number of things, but the biggest thing was so we can share resources across the community and kind of balance out different levels of affluence across the city into one pot, so we can do things like find resources to put in streetlights. Because we need streetlights in District 2 as much as we need in District 4. That's for sure. And when we're in District 4 at Burbank Elementary, maybe we can meet at Sycamore or Oleander and we can see the scope of the problem in my district. I believe the city manager is trying to schedule council for a study session on this issue sometime in the next quarter. So hopefully we'll have made some headway there. But I mean, this is an idea council's been kicking around for a long time. It's time to actualize it. On sidewalks, I don't know if our city engineer is here, or maybe the city manager can speak to it. The need exceeds the resources, and there's a list of areas of town, neighborhoods that council has given the green light for sidewalk construction, but we don't have the funds. One of them is Melody Lane in District 4. And I think Melody Lane doesn't have sidewalks for the same reason a lot of South Merced areas do, because the way we build these kind of infrastructure today is a developer who builds a neighborhood leaves sidewalks and streetlights and other amenities. Back in the day, that wasn't the case. And so the areas of town that were built back in the day, like South Merced, like Melody Lane, don't have these amenities. So we need to keep our eye on that. We need to keep searching for grant funding, CMAQ funds and other things. We also, I think it would be helpful to know which communities really want sidewalks. I've talked to some other members of my district. They don't want sidewalks. They don't want the front part of the yard chewed up. So it'd be nice to know where we should be focusing our resources, because like I said, we only have so much to go around. Anyway, as I do, I talked a lot on a couple different issues, so I'll pause.
Thanks, sir. City Attorney Cornwell or Chief Stanfield, you guys want to talk about code enforcement or potential slumlord ordinance? Start with you. Our City Attorney, Mr. Cornwell.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, community. I'll take the ordinance question and leave code enforcement to the chief. First, I'm pleased to announce that we do have a framework to bring more laws to you regarding the landlord-tenant relationship. And I am encouraged that the framework has addressed all the comments that came up this evening. Severe penalties for multiple offenders, increased tenant legal rights knowledge, relocation, protecting the tenants against reporting issues of the landlord. So we've addressed those issues in our drafts. What has happened since we first discussed this at council meeting is that it's also become an issue at the state level, and the Attorney General has created a housing unit, and I believe one of their tasks is to see if they can have consistency among cities on how they're addressing this. So they have asked to review the drafts as well. So we have a few eyes on it right now, but very excited to bring it to the council for discussion and potential implementation of those issues.
Thank you, sir.
Any questions?
Appreciate you. Chief Stanfield. Topic of code enforcement, sir.
Yep, good evening. I want to echo what the city attorney was talking about. We've been working on our, I don't know if anti-slum is what we're going to title it, but that's what it's being titled tonight, so we'll just call it that. Ordinance, code enforcement is something that we are trying to increase the staffing on. It's an understaffed and overwhelmed department. It just is what it is. So there's currently 4 staff, and we're trying to add more staff. We added a 5th staff member this year, but for 100,000 people, there's a lot of work that comes in. So they have to triage a lot of cases. They try to be as compassionate as they can about dealing with these cases as they come in, but often they're overwhelmed with them. So we're working on new ordinances and new strategies. We do have a top 10 list, a top 20 list, and we go through these regularly. Every couple of weeks we meet and we discuss a lot of these. We've made a lot of progress this year. I think one of the big hurdles that we got over, it's not an occupied dwelling by a house, but we had a pile of rubble on Main Street that's been a problem in town for years, and we had to work through that huge project, and asbestos abatement from that, and all the things associated with that, and a couple big apartment complexes. And we've had some really good success stories this year, too. So we've learned a lot this year, and I am very happy that we had a long meeting with our Attorney General's office, and we provided them with some ways that we do business, and we provided them with the draft of what we're working on, and they're reviewing it, and they're going to give us some feedback so that I feel confident that what we have is some of the best oversight and some best direction that we can get in the state about how Merced can move forward and be one of the more efficient code enforcement units in the state. So hopefully there's more to follow with that. I'll briefly address the tinted windows just while I'm up here. From Ms. Sandoval, yes, it is illegal. I assume we're talking about cars, not houses. Where'd she go? Yes. So it's illegal to tint your front windows, driver front, passenger front, and the front window. Those 3 windows cannot be tinted in a vehicle at all. There's no restrictions really on tint in the back windows, but we issue hundreds of citations a year for violations of those. So that is currently illegal under the California Vehicle Code.
Anything else from the council on the topics of landlord-tenant issues, anti-slum ordinances? Hearing none. The other big, go ahead, Mr. Emsworth.
Hi there. My name's Keith Ensminger, for those of you who don't know me. Shane, you were talking about some of the lighting issues and stuff like that. I've been meeting with groups here in South Merced. I'm the District 2 rep for the Advisory Council, and one of the big issues that might be able to be handled quickly is a number of people said that we need a pedestrian-activated sidewalk crossing over to the food center from around 12th Street across Martin Luther King. It's a very dangerous, Martin Luther King's a very dangerous street to try and cross, and that could be something that you could do pretty quickly to help residents get to that store over there. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Councilor Harris.
Thank you, Mayor. Chief, I just thought of a couple of code enforcement questions for you. It's intuitive that we're shorthanded on that, but do you happen to know, for a city our size, what other cities have got staffing levels for code enforcement?
Okay. I don't. Code enforcement doesn't always fall under the police services. Here in Merced, it does. Many of you know I came from Modesto, and in Modesto, it fell under the police department there as well. And we like to be about a dozen for a size, and they were overwhelmed there too. So when I left Modesto in 2023, they were trying to get that unit up drastically for the exact same reason we are. A lot more cases are coming through the code enforcement line as opposed to the law enforcement side, so there was a definite need to increase our civilian ranks that would oversee code enforcement. So when I first got here, there was 4. We're now at 5. We are looking at adding some part-time staff, because part-time staff can be extremely effective in helping office and administrative things and stuff like that. You know, like Modesto is desperately trying to increase their code enforcement ranks as well for the exact same reason we are.
The other question I have is, can you address maybe the reluctance of some residents to call code enforcement and have a uniformed person show up? And is there some way that we can deal with that?
Yeah. All right. Well, it's on and off. So that's a real thing. there's always that concern. We do our best to try to, my stance is if nobody comes to the door out of fear, just leave a business card and we can deal with most of our business over the phone. I always tell people, like, we can talk on the phone. It's 2026, I almost said 25. It's 2026, we can talk on FaceTime, we can talk through video chat, we can talk on the phone. We don't have to have a uniform presence at your front doorstep anymore. There are cases where that needs to happen, but not always in code enforcement. And our job is to not get a tenant evicted. That's not the role. We want to get the problem corrected. And I've had some pretty stern meetings with property owners over this last year. Myself and our city manager and our city attorney have had some meetings where property owners are having to give me weekly updates personally about what they're doing to renovate these properties. So tenant rights is important to us. It's important to me at the police department. And what we don't want to do is create an environment where if we truly have a slumlord, that we create this revolving door of tenants that can come in and feel like if they complain about mold and roach-infested properties, that they're just immediately going to be evicted. So there's protections in place. So we want to make sure that we're protecting our tenants because they're our citizens, the rights that everybody else.
Thank you, Chief.
Councilor Jean.
Oh, a question for you, Chief Stanfield. Could you remind me, for Fresno, was there code enforcement? It was out of the city attorney office, is that correct?
One little division for the office out of the city hall. I don't know who their direct report was, but they had different layers at Fresno. They would have like a standard code enforcement, then they had their anti-slumlord team. That was a separate team that worked on, thank you. Oh, there it is. Is that better? Okay. That would work on like what they called the worst of the worst. So they would have a small select group that did just the worst of the worst, the anti-slumlord team that would go out and be extremely active and engaged in working with that team. Then they would have just a normal code enforcement, because code enforcement is just a very broad term. We have to remember that. It deals with vehicles parked on unimproved sidewalks, grass that's too tall, a fence that's been put up it's taller than the fence should be. You know, it's a broad scope, not just landlord-tenant properties. They deal with a lot of other stuff too. Does that make sense? But Fresno's team is much larger than ours. Yes, substantially larger, like in the 20s and 30s.
Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then just to the comments made with regards to everything regarding housing. And I guess this is a question for our city attorney as well. So previously, I've proposed ordinances with regards to code enforcement, rental registry, even on tenants' legal counsel. A question is that, would I be able to bring that back up, or is this something where somebody else, a different council member, has to propose those items again?
Councilman, thanks for the question. If you're asking about the ability for a reconsideration, that time has passed for the particular items that were discussed. If it's a new item or a new take on an item that was discussed, you can bring it up subject to the council conduct policy and how you guys raise issues for discussion and eventual decision-making. But it would have to be somewhat different, a new take on it, something unique from what had been voted in the past, because that time has passed on those items.
Thank you.
On the topic of affordable housing and affordable housing development, another topic that was brought up, I think that's been another really strong spot, a really bright spot for us over the last few years. We haven't, a lot of the projects are still in development and still under construction, and won't feel the impact of those fully for a few years, but you can turn it over to our city manager to discuss some of those projects, both general affordable housing projects and homeless-focused projects as well.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. We've been very fortunate to receive a considerable amount of funding from ARPA, from other resources in the past, which has gone to good work for the community, right? On Parsons Avenue right now, you see a project underway. It's about 129 units. It's going to be for workforce housing. Joe Cerna funding is involved. We just recently had an announcement, and we're going to have an item on your agenda coming up soon to accept about $28 million of home key funding. I think this is our 4th home key funded project in the community, so we are diligent in working with development teams to find funding. I want to be very clear, the city doesn't own, we don't operate or manage affordable housing projects. We just don't have the resources, so we can't do it. That's not what we do. We do have partners that we work with that provide those services, and they need our support to become the conduit to go after public funding sources. And so through that partnership, we've been very good at getting those sources to bring funding back to the community. So we're leveraging, at this point, really hundreds of millions of dollars to bring affordable housing projects to the community, and literally hundreds of affordable units. And so you're correct. We've got projects off Devonwood, off Parsons that are under construction, off 13th Street. We've got projects that are getting completed. And so we'll see those happening in 2026. We've got some that are still in the planning and financing phases in a couple locations. And so we don't ever turn our back on these. We keep diligently working at them. And so we have a small team that keeps working on them. It's getting more and more difficult. The resources are drying up, but we know it's still important, and so we still endeavor to bring these back home for our citizens and our needs. I'd point out to you that it's not just for one income group. It's not just for one location. We heard in the past that we were only focusing on one area. That's not true. We're focusing all throughout the community. It's really the developers that find the sites that are available, and they choose where they want to go. And we help them find the resources they need to make them happen. And so I hope that works for the update you're looking for.
Yeah, a lot of good wins, hundreds of millions of dollars, I think well over $200 million in grants that we've attracted. We've used local dollars as well to fund that. The question is, different branches of government do different things. And so local government, in a lot of ways, again, it's water, sewer, garbage, police, fire. Those are the kind of the core things, parks. Those are the core things that we fund with our dollars. And then other branches of government, for example, the school district funds the schools. We don't put any money into education. That's the school district's job. Other entities as well will fund different things. The county with all their social services, behavioral health, human services agency, they have the district attorney and the public defender. So there's just different things that different branches of governments do. So we kind of focus, obviously, on what the really important things we have to do. And one of those, too, is housing and attracting housing grants. Most cities don't have a lot of local money for housing, but they use what local money they have, if they're successful, to attract other grants. And that's what we've been doing. Scott mentioned some of the projects, new one coming on Park with a $28 million grant, 66 units. You have 1213 V Street with 96 units, the R Street project with 20 units, Bella Vista, the project on at Parsons and Yosemite with over 100 units, 156 units by Walmart at Devonwood, a number of other projects as well. Our Link Housing project downtown with over 50 units, 13th and G with 58 units. So there's been a lot of work, a lot invested. Our folks do a lot of really good work. We have a lot of really dedicated employees on that topic. And that's one. And then the Housing Authority, too, that's another big source for local housing as well. There's federal dollars that come to the Housing Authority, and the Housing Authority, millions and millions of dollars every month are distributed in the form of rental subsidies.
Go ahead. Yeah, as we shift topic. Scott, can you remind me how big our housing division is?
I could remind you that the Housing Division is primarily set up to implement programs related to the HUD program, which is very narrow. And you get about $1 million in the block grant program, which is actually really not designed to support housing very much. It's more for community investment programs. Kim Nutt, I believe, is here. In fact, I see her right there. She might want to come up and talk about the difference between home and CDBG. Your home program is only about 400 and some thousand, so that's what you've got to work with from your federal program, and then whatever else we can leverage from state programs. So it's not a big division. It's a division right now of about 3 people, And then on the policy side or state side, we've got a floating person. So you've got, between 3.5 people at any one time, and that's about it.
Thank you. Yeah, a lot of the concerns I've heard about from community members have been with regards to our small housing division, just simply the impression that we don't have a lot of people and they're looking for more resources or implementing programs in which community members would like to see. And so I think that's one thing in which we could invest more into is increasing our housing division from 3 to any increased number, right? And on top of that, with regards to units being built, I understand we are building across the city of Merced, but oftentimes, like, again, I like to look at RENA and we don't have developers building low affordable units, right? In the last cycle, we don't even come anywhere near meeting our numbers. And so and if we look at our RENA production resolution, that number got cut back as well. And so if we're talking about affordable housing and ensuring that developers do build these units, I think it's important that we continue to increase these numbers and encourage them, not really encourage, require that these units are built concurrently with market rate housing.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Navora. I'm here to just represent myself, council, but I had a couple concerns jumping back to a topic in regards to the drafts of public records to the housing and how that's going about. I know, I'm sorry, I didn't get your name earlier, but in regards to the draft, is it public records for the people? And I know you mentioned also that it was renters that were being deliberated with this draft. And I think also the public should be a part of that. If there is a draft already made, please take in consideration and to the public and to the owner and to the tenants who live there. And as regards to the new housing, to maybe comprise a public record complaint, maybe a website or something unanimous where people can talk or express to the city, maybe monitoring that in regards to housing and making sure that there are issues being taken care of, where if they are taken care of, public record of that, as well as transparency through the whole process. Because I think it is important, and I'm sure everybody who does rent wants their voices to be heard as well. So that was my couple of questions. I would love to hear the answer to them. Thank you, council.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Mayor, I'm not sure I understand the question. Could we?
Yeah, we'll follow up.
Yeah.
We'll follow up later. We'll follow up with you afterwards and get specific information.
I wouldn't mind being it for the public records or anything. Just
Okay, if you can come back up, we got to get you on the microphone. LaTanya, if you could sit down for a second, come back.
Yeah. I mean, if we have the time to do that, I think it's, if you have the time to talk or answer those questions, I think it's important. Do you feel like you would be able to redo the draft, or would the draft be public of what it is? Because you said that the public ordinance.
Yeah, I think we were just a little unclear what you were saying.
Sorry about that. Still new to the whole city council. I saw a concern in it, and I just wanted to speak out in it.
Okay.
So.
I understand.
Yeah.
It's the draft that I'm working on is not a public document at this time. And it wouldn't be helpful because it may change and have different versions. But I am taking notes and interests, what the residents want to see in it. So, and then when it gets to council, of course, then it's public and you have public comment, and I'll be making a presentation and we can go through it.
So my question is, sir, do you feel like you can be able to take in consideration to the renters when doing this, such as complaints or anything that you feel comfortable with, maybe they can email you or give you like handwritten notes, you know, just like to tell you in regards to what's happening within the public?
Sure, I can give you my, my email. Yeah, I'd love to get more information, no problem.
100%. So can I have that? Can I have the email?
Cornwell, Cornwell, then initial C as in cat, at cityofmerced.gov.
Thank you. So I appreciate your time, sir. I think in the future, for sure, when representing the public on both sides, not only just the renters, especially housing, I understand how important it is to protect the owners, but the renters are just as important for people who want to pay with sustainable living. So yeah, no, thank you so much for your time. So I'll definitely be emailing you. Thank you so much, Council.
Yeah, reach out to our city attorney, and then that ordinance, just like any ordinance, we work on it, and then once it comes to us and there's multiple hearings, and there's actually a process where the ordinance has to be, if we're going to adopt it, it has to come before us multiple times to give the public multiple opportunities to see it. Next speaker. Yeah.
Just kind of, just adding to the speaker here, I think Councilmember Smith kind of mentioned with regards to the vacant building ordinance of bringing together tenant advocates and homeowners together to talk about that ordinance. And so I think this might be something that's closely related as well.
Quick things. One, we need to get rid of, people need to make 2.5 to 3 times the rent to be able to get a place. That's ridiculous. Nobody makes that, really. 2, you guys say that, you know, code enforcement's busy or whatever. I sent 1.3 gigabytes of information when I was in that house for 2 months. I don't have $8,000 to move twice in like 2 months. And instead of you guys calling me back to tell me that, you know, you would help me, you guys called the landlord. And then you called me and say, hey, we just want to let you know we got your stuff, and then we were out. That's BS. 3, I don't understand why not one of you showed up to the memorial for the people that died unhoused. If you couldn't at least send somebody from your offices, that's crazy. There was a memorial. 51 people died unhoused last year from Merced County. 51. The oldest was like over 80. That's a heartbreak. 80, thank you. That's a heartbreak. That is a heartbreak. I hope each and every last one of you dream about that and feel horrible. I like some of you, but the fact that an old man, 51 people, that is 51 souls no longer here because they didn't have housing. 51. I don't remember all their names, but 51 people died on the street, and that's a pity.
Thank you.
Hello, good evening. Thank you, Mr. Smith, for your responses to the streetlights and sidewalks. I wanted to follow up on one quick thing. I think you mentioned that there was going to be a study session coming up within this next quarter. I was wondering if you could give us a couple more details on what that study session would mean and what information could be expected, and what information or public feedback should we show up with to make this study session as successful as possible.
Sure. Well, I mean, the real answer you want is I'm going to ask City Manager McBride, but, you know, if you've been watching council, we are working together to construct a public committee structure where we can consider these kinds of issues, but we need some more time to implement that. So my view is in the near term, the city manager is going to be having public open session study sessions as a full council on some of these issues. The citywide CFD is going to be one of them, but I don't want to steal his thunder. I'll let Scott talk about his plans for bringing this issue forward.
Well, I don't want to disappoint you. I'm actually going to have some help from Venus. I want to make sure we get everyone involved tonight. But just to kind of maybe back this up a little bit, Community Facilities District is a way that we pay for the maintenance of operations. And so over the past couple months, we've had town hall meetings, which are like this but not very well attended, talk about maintenance districts that are not funded very well. And so we've been going out to residents that have assessments where there's not enough money being collected. A CFD, Community Facilities District, is another flavor of a maintenance district. We're not specifically talking about streetlights. I just want to be very clear. We're not really delving into how you build a streetlight and all that. We're talking about a CFD that we've been using going back for over 25 years that covers a variety of different maintenance areas. It covers landscape maintenance. It does cover streetlight maintenance. Ken Venus helped me out. There's probably other things that we address. Park maintenance, public safety, a few other things, right? I know that Councilmember Smith has been trying to see if we can use the CFD methodology as a template so that residents could say, hey, we'd like to have streetlights in our neighborhood. Can we use the methodology from the CFD as a way that we can adopt that and then pay for the maintenance for the streetlights going forward? That's kind of the connection to the streetlight conversation. That's really the only connection to it, I think. So I don't want to disappoint that we're really not talking about like paying for installation of streetlights. That's not where this conversation is going. It's a conversation about we need to update the CFD rates because the last CFD rates were done in what year? 2004. Like everyone else in this room, if you bought something in 2004 and you go and buy it tonight, they're vastly different prices. Cars, clothing, everything. So the rates need to be adjusted, and that's what we're talking about. The rates need to be looked at differently. So the rates for the CFDs do address streetlights, and we want to see if the methodology could be used to cover if someone wanted to install streetlights from a new project. That's kind of part of what we're looking into, but they're not specifically looking to finance installation of streetlights. That's not what we're talking about.
Thank you for that information. So with this in mind, does anything come to mind to any of you for the installation? Because I feel like I've heard a lot about rehab, for LEDs, for bulbs instead. Does anything come to mind? Anything we can prepare and work with community members for to attend? And so maybe we have some more attendance during some of these meetings where there's not as much attendance, to get more information directly to you, to more grant information, anything like that?
Why don't we talk offline? I think this is part of the policy discussion that's still early. I mean, I see the potential for a resource district where areas of town that aren't necessarily contiguous can pool resources and do these kind of capital projects you're talking about. So I would appreciate your ideas, and maybe we can figure something out to propose.
All right, thank you. Looking forward to it.
Thank you. You're here?
Thank you, Mayor. The holidays are a hard time to schedule things. Personally, I was in Seattle during that meeting, or otherwise I would have been there. I'm going to go out on a limb, be unpopular, and talk about affordable housing. It's a moving target. Affordable housing to some does not mean the same thing to another. The general definition is affordable housing is 30% of income. If you can spend 30% of your income on housing, then it's affordable to you. I don't consider some of our projects that we call affordable housing. The R Street project, it's a great project, but they're small places for one person. That's rescue housing to me. And when you talk about affordable housing and a family of four, can a family of four with $50,000 worth of income live in Bellevue Ranch? Probably not. Can you live in Merced? I hope so. But it's naive to think that we can just wave a magic wand and make affordable housing. The city doesn't provide housing. Companies, builders do. They get the land. They decide whether or not they're going to build, what they're going to build. They can get incentives if they decide they want to include affordable housing within those projects, but the city can't make them. As a matter of fact, under some circumstances, the city can't deny anything about the project. All we can do is grant more incentives to them. So when you talk about infrastructure, we have control over that. How we handle infrastructure is something directly under the city's control. Public safety, parks, without a doubt. But housing is not a city function. So I'm certainly open to anything that would help us get to our goal of more affordable housing. But again, it's not something that we can create ourselves. And Ashley's going to tell me what I can do. Go ahead, Ashley.
Are you sure I don't want to cut you off?
No, that's,
I'm sorry I didn't get to hear your whole comment, but something that you did mention sparked a thought, and so I wanted to just bring up and reiterate that although the city doesn't have direct control to build or construct housing, there are still opportunities to create policies that can incentivize or put developers in a particular position to do whatever it is that y'all need to do to meet the RHNA in this case. And so, that might include inclusionary zoning policy to make sure that developers have this expectation to build affordable housing next to market rate housing that's already planned or has been approved. Currently, the city has a RHNA resolution that was adopted in October of 2023, if I'm not mistaken, which provides some sort of loophole or a way for a developer to pay into an in-lieu fee instead of being required to actually build a certain percentage. And during that decision, they also lowered the percentage that they were required to be responsible for. I believe it went from 12% to about 5%. So, for example, if there's a 100-unit building or project that they're planning to do, they're only required to create 5 of those units be affordable, whether it's by design or whatever it may be. But instead, they have an option to pay, and the required payment is not sufficient to even build other housing outside of that project. I believe it depends on the area, but from my recollection, it was no more than like $5,000 per unit. And I'm not a developer myself. I don't know what the cost is, but I can certainly, be sure that it's definitely more than $5,000 to build a unit. And so I just wanted to reiterate that that's well within the city's purview to change and amend that policy. That's one step that can be taken, although very small. And another suggestion can also be to make sure that there's also policies to ensure that developers are specifically responsible to add more infrastructure beyond what's already required. I know in certain projects they are required to make like traffic signal installations depending on like where exactly it is positioned, but that can change. We can require more of developers. Although it might put a strain on their pockets, it is to benefit the community and to prevent the future neighborhoods from having gaps that the city then needs to fill. And so we just want to be mindful that better planning can prevent future city council from making tough decisions on a limited and deficit budget. So I just wanted to flag those 2 things. Thank you.
thank you. The only thing I would add to that is that you can't make the developers build. We can put those in, and they can look at that and go, too tough here, we're going north, we're going south. So it's a balance.
John?
The opportunity to talk about housing go by.
No, Ashley pretty much, I was going to comment before Ashley went up, but I was just going to say the same thing. Inclusionary zoning, typically it's 15%. As you mentioned, the city previously approved 12%, dropped that down. And then additionally, we dropped it down to 0% in South Merced, if I'm not mistaken. And so, Ashley pretty much said everything.
Yeah, I wanted to go back. I went back and spoke with Navorna because I was a little confused about what she wanted to see for public comments, and what she was talking about was having a web-based application, maybe through the city website, that was really easy to get to, where people could go and put public comments. And one of the things I was thinking about too on Imagine Merced, that's a very easy website to get through and make public comments, and maybe we could add an extra tab next to the general comments, something specifically about housing for the community to go ahead and add their comments, because I think it's important to hear from people, and it's hard for people a lot of times to come to these meetings. It's a lot easier to get online and do that kind of stuff. So that might be a couple options to consider. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
to some talk earlier about infrastructure in general. Just two points. One, the brightness of the city and the streetlights. Installing new streetlights is expensive. We upgraded all the current streetlights. That was a multi-million-dollar, multi-year project. So we're currently pretty close to being done with that. But that's been a really good project, and I think made the city a lot brighter in a lot of areas. And then the sidewalks, too. I think we all agree, too, that sidewalks are a big area in need. There's been, again, millions of dollars of investments in sidewalks over the past few years. Really significant ones, such as the Motel Drive path, and then the Childs Avenue path between Golden Valley and Weaver, which has been a goal for a long time of the city, that we finally got that done as well. So that was really good to have that project done, connecting Golden Valley to Weaver. And then a lot of other sidewalk projects as well. Down around here, S&T, we've had a lot of projects. Down a little farther south off of Home, south of Childs, projects is there as well. And there's a lot, Councilmember Smith mentioned in his district as well, kind of just south of Olive, some significant sidewalk projects there as well. A big concern, too, is, as the city grows, city over the years will incorporate prior county areas as well. And so some of the county areas are built to different standards since they don't have the sidewalk. So when we grow and we take on previously unincorporated county areas, how do we adapt the infrastructure? That's a big concern, too. Initially, you have a city which is small, surrounded by county areas. There can be some neighborhoods that develop. And then as we grow, we have to be cognizant of bringing everything up to city standard. So that's why you kind of get a hodgepodge of different qualities of infrastructure.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Kind of stole my thunder with the Child's multi-use pathway, but there's also other infrastructure projects that we were able to complete as well, especially in District 1. You had water main infrastructure that was put by Don Stoll Elementary, as well as sidewalks and curbing that was done. But there's going to be sidewalk and road issues throughout the city. We have to continue to make those priorities known. We talk about Mission Avenue. Anytime I get an opportunity to talk about Mission Avenue, so thank you, Mr. Graham, is an opportunity I'm going to take, because it's not only with the concern of that Girard roundabout and more traffic going on to Mission, it's just going to be used more with CP 42, and we talked about park investment, and that investment also goes to the roads for people to get there. So we have taken steps this past year to actually put some funding aside for the Mission Avenue going from Tyler to 59. I would like to get groups together, Mr. Graham, over by your side, to actually discuss some of the concerns about the Girard 59 roundabout and how those impacts will occur to the residents over there, because there's just a lot of moving parts with that construction with Caltrans and Mission itself. So there's a lot that I think the city is doing, but there's always more that we can do, and it's also deciding what our priorities are in roads. We only have a limited amount of funding in the budget. If you look at our website, the council page, there's a capital roads improvement Excel sheet on there. We're $3.6 million really in the hole of not having enough money for just those projects, and that doesn't encapsulate the whole city. So we have to be more nimble on how we do projects. CMAQ funding and using grant funding to help with that is a way in which we can work on some of these smaller projects here and there throughout the city and plan for the larger projects budgetary wise.
Councilmember DuPont, close to $1 million, I think, for Mission we just approved in a budget. I think the big thing, too, is, and you've heard it here, is the needs and priorities you see, we see the same thing. We have those same needs and priorities, but it's just oftentimes the need is greater than the resource. We're doing our best and working hard with the tools that we have to get as much done as we can. Ms. Phillips.
Yes, I'm sorry, I didn't mention traffic. I've lived on Northwood Drive for more than 20 years. Somebody's going to get killed on that street, and I just hope it's not me. Cars go down there, it's 25. They put 3 new signs up, 25 miles an hour, and they go down at 60, 70 miles an hour. And the mayor of of Northwood recently passed, Ron Moore. He was out there every day, slow down, stop, and it's a lot of elderly people on our street. Sometimes it takes 15 minutes to get to our street off from Northwood or M Street. Is it possible we get a red light or we can do something about this traffic? Last week I saw 3 traffic cops together on motorcycle at Starbucks on Olive. I don't know why 3 of them was in the same place at the same time, but I wish you would send one of them on Northwood Drive, please.
Chief, you want to talk about traffic real quick? Traffic and traffic enforcement. Maybe they were having lunch together.
Yeah, I don't know what they were doing. Yeah, traffic's a constant concern. So traffic ticket issuance in 2025 was up 106% from the year before. Traffic collisions are down almost 25% in the city. The problem we have right now is our current speed survey has expired, and we cannot issue speeding tickets at the moment because we don't have a speed survey till the next council meeting when it gets approved. So we're kind of handcuffed at this moment, no pun intended, with issuing speeding citations until the new speed survey is finalized. We can't issue radar tickets and those kind of enforcement tickets through speed enforcement only.
But the good work your department's done to be more active and as a result, collisions are down. Go ahead.
Hello. I guess 2 things. So one, I know there was a 28 million grant that was being made by park maintenance. Is that something where maybe we can be able to start looking at different things that could be utilized for the public, such as like sanitation and different things like that?
I think that's
Yeah. I think we're getting a couple things confused. It's a $28 million affordable housing project on Park Avenue. It's not for park maintenance. It's Park Avenue is the project location for affordable housing project.
Thank you for that. And then just to add on another thing that Councilor Zhang made was South Merced receiving 0 funding, and that, to my knowledge, to where its budgeting is by zoning. So why isn't South Merced receiving any funding in regards to development for?
Mayor, if I could, I think Councilmember Zhang is talking about a policy that was adopted by the council, which is a production policy for affordable housing. It's not really anything that the city is implementing. It was a policy to try to get private developers to either provide for units or provide funding for units. And so it's a policy document. And so it's RHNA stands for Regional Housing Needs Allocation, RHNA. It's an abbreviation. And so Councilmember Zhang is referring to the fact that a few years ago, the council, as a body, collectively made a decision to modify the policy, and that's their discretion to do that. And so they decided that they were going to create zones for how it's going to be allocated, and it was decided that in this area, if there's going to be development, they wouldn't make it a burden or make it a requirement, depending on how you decided to look at it, to make that enforceable for those developers. So it's required in some areas, not required in other areas. As far as allocating funding, that is not the case. Funding is allocated throughout the city equitably. It's just this RHNA policy is not impacted or not effective in a certain area.
Perfect. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and that policy decision was a way to spur more development in South Merced by not imposing a fee that you impose in other parts of town. All right, anybody else? Okay. I think with that, we'll move to closing comments from council. So we can start over on my left, Councilmember Tao.
Well, thank you for showing up tonight. Your concerns and comments and issue, your voice matters, and we'll take that into consideration, and we're with the city and staff, so thank you again.
Nobody asked about high-speed rail. Stay tuned next week, discussion about high-speed rail and where things are going. I'm happy to talk more about it offline. So thank you, everybody, for coming out. I know it's late. I know I need to get some dinner, too. I'm sure there's some hungry people in here, and I appreciate everybody here making time. It's good to see you guys again.
Again, thank you all for coming out. We always leave, I think, smarter than when we came in. We have 2 more town halls to go to, and then we have the goals and priorities to set. And your voice means something when we sit down to those goals and priorities. I know myself, my colleagues, we have the notes from the town halls, and we pay attention. Thank you again.
Councilor Jean.
Thank you to everyone for being here. Sometimes it's not easy speaking up here, and so appreciate folks for speaking out. I'm going to say, LaTanya, can you continue to call us out, right? I wasn't there, yeah, so please do that. I actually appreciate that. It holds us accountable, so thank you.
Thank you, city staff, city council, community members for coming out and having a wonderful discussion tonight, not only on issues that I think that we've all been discussing over the years, especially this past year, but also to reiterate that the information and direction that we are going in infrastructure and parks and housing is where we need to go as a city. And so I look forward to this year and look forward to the next coming years and making Merced even better than it is today.
Thanks, sir. Mayor Pro Tem Boyle.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everyone, for coming out tonight. Have front and back of the issues that are brought up tonight, and as you're familiar with the process as we take these back, going through our goals and priorities and what this next year in our budget looks like. So thank you.
Again, I want to thank you all, echo the comments of my colleagues, and thank everybody for being here. Your opinion matters a lot. Your input matters a lot, and it sets us on the right track. I think in so many ways we're aligned. It's just a question of us being able to do more, and that's a big thing for us. We're working on all these issues, but we need to keep going and keep needing to do more. So everything you say keeps us aligned, I think, in a really important way. Upcoming meetings, too, as Councilmember Smith mentioned, the 12th, Monday, special high-speed rail meeting. We have our next town halls, 2 additional town halls, the 13th at Burbank and the 14th at El Cap. That's our Central and our North Merced meetings. So the 13th Burbank, 14th El Cap, and our next council meetings on the 20th. And Mr. Emsmer, I think on the 28th, we have our Community Advisory Focus Group for the general plan as well, if anybody's interested in being a part of that. So with that, I think we're adjourned. If we need a motion or chair prerogative, we're adjourned. So.
Chair prerogative.
Gotcha.